I told this story about refugees a couple of years ago on Veterans Day, with a humorous slant. I'm going to tell it again today, unfiltered. Years ago on my first deployment to Iraq, I befriended a local boy, Brahim, who would quickly become one of our interpreters. He was able to do so because the turnover rate for local nationals was enormous, and not because they quit, because they were killed. Besides the money, we were able to get them to volunteer with us by promising them refugee status in the US if they completed a tour. But really, I think Chain of Command knew that most interpreters wouldn't make it through their contracts alive. Anyway, Brahmin, is this Fallout? Brahim would tell me about the family members he lost in the conflict. Brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles, all of them. He told me how he lived in a one-bedroom house with 7 people, no clean power, and every other week because of the rolling blackouts. Well, he told me how they did have the basic necessities most days, and that him volunteering with us was one of their sole sources of income. One day I went down to the PX and bought him $20, maybe $30 worth of toiletries. No big deal really, just didn't want the dude to smell like shit. When I presented it to him, he cried, literally bawled his eyes out and said that he'd give his life for me. Over soap. Completely sobering. He spent the next year acting as our liaison, providing us with valuable intel, essentially saving our lives on a daily basis at 16. At the end of my tour in Iraq, I knew I was leaving him to die. I knew I'd never see him again. I was just kind of like, take care, kid. Fast forward 5 years, and I'm flying home to Phoenix to bury my little brother, who was brutally murdered. Gun violence is another subject. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I cried my eyes out all the way from Hawaii to Arizona. Fucking brutal. Spend 6 years fighting wars and you don't expect to get a call from the police that your kid brother was randomly murdered in a carjacking. Anyway, I land in Arizona and it's pouring. Hop off and walk to the taxi stand. Ubers weren't really a thing in 2013. I get on the first taxi that pulls up and we're off. Driver starts to make the standard small talk. Where are you from? What do you do? Etc. I tell him I just got out of the military and blah blah, and he's like, oh great, I love the military. You ever travel anywhere? And I tell him, sure, I've been to every corner of the globe, Africa, Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. He says, oh, I'm from Iraq. What part? I say, Kirkuk, mostly. And he says, I'm from Irkutsk, and then gets really fucking quiet. Like awkwardly quiet. Making me nervous quiet. My first thought is I killed one of his family members and he recognizes me. And now I'm literally getting ready to bail out of the cab. I see him staring at me in the rear view. I can see the anguish in his eyes. And then he starts to pull the cab to the side of the road. He stops, turns around and says, Dylan, you remember me? It's me, Brahim. And I'm like, what the fuck? And just start sobbing. We got out of the taxi off of the I-10 in rural and hugged it out on a bridge in the rain on some Notebook shit, which is a movie for some people who don't know what the Notebook is. You know what I'm talking about? I didn't even care, man. I didn't ever care. That's what it said. I don't ever care. So I'm like, what the fuck are you doing in fucking Arizona? How? Man, what? And he's like, I did my 4 years and they gave me a visa. They gave him some cash and a one-way ticket to the States. Asked him where he wanted to go, and he said, where the weather is like Iraq. So they sent him to Arizona. 5 years later, I left him in Iraq, and a few days after my younger brother was violently murdered, the universe linked us up again. But Ahim literally saved my life twice. Lost one brother and got another one back. Refugees. Oh, that's kind of nice. Yeah, just let that music reach that point where it's like a good point for me to click.
I don't know if I like that second tape.
I'm still recording, asshole. I was just waiting for the music to like wind down, and you on this like, yeah, I like the first take better. I'm leaving this shit in. I'm leaving all of this shit in. Nah, all right, yeah, up, yep, I'm still recording. Exactly. You better shut the hell up. Did you enjoy the story? I don't care. You know. I liked it though. It was pretty cool. You better like it too. What do you have no heart? You got no heart or something? Oh my god.